welcome back to my channel. So today's video, as you all know by the title, is going to be a story time slash tea time, kind of. So this video is basically going to be about how me and my husband met and how the kids came about and all of that stuff. So if you're interested, keep on watching. Alright, so this is going to be like a story time for y'all and a snack time for me. So I got some Flamin' Hot Smart Food white cheddar popcorn. It's my first time trying it, so let's see how it smells good. Oh, it looks so artificially red. Oh my god, did you guys see that? It smells sweet. Okay, so and I have my Starbucks cup. I love this cup, and it just has some brisk iced tea in it. Okay, so let's get into the video. All right, so I'm first going to start off with how I met my husband. So first, we met by going to the same church. It was like this youth group in the church. Like, okay, a youth group is like when they have like teenagers basically have like their own night, you know, to go to church basically. If you like not familiar with church, if you don't go to church, that's what a youth group is. So we were both in the same youth group. And I guess we met through there from church. And then we started talking. Well, I don't know if I like that. I don't like that. It's not spicy. Well, it's a little bit spicy. Went on the wrong bite. Yeah, I don't like that. It's okay, but I don't like it. Anyways, okay. So, what was I? So, okay, sorry, I might be dispositioned, and I'm a little bit out of breath, but I just had to, get my child off the potty. Anyways, so where was I? I don't want to go into too much details about too much stuff. We met and then we started to date. And when we were dating, we dated for about, a couple of months, and then we broke up, and then we got back together a couple of months after that. Not even a couple of months. It was probably like 2 months after that. So that happened, and then okay, so then we were like continually dating. So our first, like, I like to call it like the first time we actually were together and still together was November 20th, right? 11/20, yeah, November 20th, 2012. So yeah, so 12, right? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Wow. So we're gonna make 7 years together this November 20th. Like, just being together, not married or whatever, but just like date. I don't want to say dating because we're married now, but you know, just like from the start, it's like our date anniversary. Anyways, so I think I'm rambling on too much about, you know, not important stuff. And sorry if I'm trying to look at the camera, but then I'm looking at the viewfinder, so it's kind of hard. Like, I'm not so used to looking at the viewfinder. Sorry if you hear a noise. It's the bathroom. My husband just went in the bathroom. So, okay, so we started dating in November. And then, you know, we dated for a little bit, and then we got serious. And then it wasn't until like the next year, around like a little bit before November. So maybe because Chico was born in 2014. So yeah, the next year, around the same time, kind of. Anyways, I don't want to do the math right now, but the next year around the same time, I got pregnant with Chico, Jeremiah. I just remember, I remember I was feeling nauseous and I missed my period. So I just had a feeling, and I knew I wasn't like being safe and protected. So I just had a feeling. So I took a pregnancy test, and lo and behold, it was positive. And I just remember coming out the bathroom and looking at him like, I am pregnant. And then we were just like contemplating on what should we do from then. Like, should I abort it or should I go through with it? And I remember him telling me, he was fully supportive of like any decision I made. He was like, if you want to keep it, we can keep it and we'll do this. But if you want to get an abortion, that's up to you. You know, it's your say. It's your body. It's your say. So I ended up keeping it. I don't believe in abortion. If you do, that's you. I'm not gonna argue about it, but yeah, that's just my decision. So we ended up keeping him, and sorry, my phone lit up. So we ended up having him and keeping him, and throughout my pregnancy a lot went down. So my mom didn't know about it yet. My mom didn't even know that I was like sexually active with him. I was 17 at the time. So yeah, my mom didn't know that I was sexually active. She knew that we were dating, but she didn't really know that we were, you know. So I didn't tell her anything yet. I don't know how much like months ago. I didn't even go to like a doctor's appointment or whatever before like all this. So I didn't know anything. It was just me finding out. And then I remember one time I was still living with my mom, and he was living with his mom. So I remember one day I went to go write a letter. I don't know how to talk. I went to write a letter to him because we always used to like write letters to each other. I know it's like teenage stuff, but we used to write letters to each other. So I remember one day writing him a letter, and in the letter was talking about like how happy I was that we were like keeping the baby, and how he would make a great father and all of this stuff. So I remember writing the letter, and I was in school at the time still, so I put the little letter in one of my textbooks, and I left it on my bed. I left the textbook on my bed, and then I had church that night. It was like a youth night church thing. So I went, and then while I was at church, my mom texts me, and she goes, "We need to talk very seriously." It's like, okay, what is this about? Like, everything's going through my head right now. I'm like, oh my god, like, does she know? How does she know? Did she find out? And then I remember I left the damn letter in the textbook. And it wasn't purposely, like, I just forgot the letter to give to him. I forgot it in the textbook. And later on, she told me that she found out because she was in my room, she was sitting on my bed. My niece came in my room because I had like a whole bunch of teddy bears. My room was really decorated with like teddy bears and stuff. Anyways, so my niece was like trying to play with my teddy bears or something, and then my niece got the textbook and she was playing with the textbook, and the note fell out. And my niece was like maybe 1 or 2 at the time. So the note fell out, and she found it, you know, because it fell out, and she was like, oh, what's that? And then I guess she read like that I wanted the pets for our family or whatever. So yeah, so that happened. So when she had texted me, I was like, oh my god, right? So we go, because I'm sitting right next to him at church, where we go to the same church. So I'm like, he's like, did she find out? Like, how does she know? I was like, I don't know. But I went home, and she's like, oh, she was yelling at me. Oh my god. She was like, why you didn't tell me about this? I thought you weren't sexually active, and you know, I thought you were still a virgin, and blah blah blah. But like, who tells their mom that, you know? And so, I mean, me and my mom's relationship was never like that. So we never talked about that stuff. So she found out, and then I don't know, I just felt like she was like very upset and mad with me, and I just didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't feel comfortable there anymore. And like she knowing that I was pregnant, and not like she didn't agree with it. So I just didn't feel comfortable. So I told my husband, well, my husband now, but my boyfriend back then, I told him, I was like, I don't feel comfortable here, like, you know, something that has to change, because, you know, it's about to go down if I don't leave. So I remember it was Christmas. I was a couple months pregnant. I was like 2 months pregnant, I have to say. Yeah, I was like 2 months pregnant, and it was Christmas. It was like after Christmas. Excuse me. It was after Christmas, and we planned on, me and my husband, he was like, you know what, you're just gonna pack a bag and then pack your things, and then I'm going to come and get you. And at the time I was like, oh, I don't know, because, you know, I've never really I never really even thought about that. I've never really been away from my mom or whatever. So she was like, he was like, just do it, and then I'll come and get you. So basically I was like gonna run away, and at the time I was 17, so it was legal for me to like be on my own and be pregnant, because in New York it's like legal if you're pregnant to do that. And not giving anybody any ideas, but so yeah. So I remember that night he came, and it wasn't night, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. We knew we had to do this when everybody was sleeping in my house, because I live with my sisters as well as my mom. So we knew that we had to do it when nobody was awake. So it was really late, and I remember through my window in my room, he was outside, he was downstairs already. I had to like throw my bag out the window to him, and I had packed clothes too, but my dumbass packed them in like a plastic bag, so when I would grab the bag it would make noise. So I was like, you know, I'm not gonna do it. So I threw my bag, and I'm just contemplating. I'm taking forever because I'm contemplating on like, you know, like, should I really do this, or just like what am I gonna do? I was so nervous too. So so I just left the bag there, and I was like, you know what, forget it. So, and then I go and I sit back on the couch in my living room, and I'm still thinking like, should I do this? And my husband's outside, my boyfriend at the time, he's outside with my stuff. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And then I went upstairs again, I forgot for what, but I remember when I was going back down, my mom wakes up, and she goes, because like everybody calls me BB. So she's like, BB. I was like, yeah. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. I'm gonna go I'm laying down watching TV because I don't feel good or whatever, because I was pregnant and I was nauseous. and then but she was like sleeping still. So so I went back to the living room, and I knew I had to wait at least like an hour more until she fell like quick out back to sleep. And so literally my husband's outside waiting for like a whole hour, probably longer, for me to come out the house or whatever. So finally I get up and work up the courage to leave. So I get out the house, and now that I'm thinking about it, I really didn't have to throw my purse down. I don't know why I did, but anyways, so I finally worked up the courage to leave. So I go and unlock the door, and I have to walk out, and then I close the door behind me. Till this day, my mom says I didn't lock the door with a lock, but I swear I did. But she says I didn't. But I locked the lock, like shut the door. I mean, so it was shut or whatever. But anyways, so I remember, and he was with one of his friends. We still know him since this day. He's a good friend. But he was with his friend, and then we had to call a taxi. So like I'm like, let's go. He's like, well, nobody's gonna come out. But I'm like nervous, I'm terrified, I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my god, did I really just do this? And my mom was like a very strict mom, so that's why I couldn't believe that like I actually did it. So we're walking like down the street where my house is on, and then we turn the corner, and there's like these stores and stuff. So we call a taxi. Mind you, it's about like 2 o'clock in the morning right now, 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and we call a cab, and the cab is taking forever. I'm like, oh my god, what if she notices that I'm missing, and then she goes searching for me? And I was just panicking. I was literally panicking. So my husband was like trying to keep me calm and stuff. So so that happened, and then we finally get in the cab, and we go to his mom's house. That's basically where I stood for half of my pregnancy, at his mom's house. So we get to his mom's house, and his mom didn't know that I was pregnant neither. So we get to his mom's house, and he makes me tell his mom that I'm pregnant. He didn't even tell his mom that I'm pregnant. He didn't tell his mom anything. So when I got there at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had to explain to her the situation or whatever. And then we ended up staying there for a few. And then I remember when I was about 5 months pregnant. I don't exactly remember how like long I was pregnant, but how far along I was. But I remember I still haven't, like, when I left, I didn't talk to my mom at all until I was like 5 months pregnant. I was just so scared to talk to her, and I believe she called the cops to see if she could like have done any. So yeah, so I believe she called the cops, and she tried, like, I don't know, she tried to see if like she could get me in trouble for it or whatever. But we already knew that she couldn't have done anything about it. And again, it wasn't a comfortable situation just to stay in for me. So yeah, so that happened, and we didn't talk for a while. I was probably like, when I left, I was like 2 months pregnant, so we probably didn't talk for like 3 months. And that's a long time for me not talking to my mom, because I lived with her. I remember one day I was on the bus. I think I was just coming back from my appointment or something like that. But I had like this little phone. It was like a little cheap phone, and I remember getting a call, and it was from her. And she goes, I pick up, but I didn't know it was from her. And I picked up, and I was like, hello, and she was like, hello, and then I was like, Mom, and then she goes, wait, who's this? And I was like, BB. And I was nervous at the time because I haven't talked to her in a while. So I was like, baby, and then she goes, oh, I thought I was calling your other sister. And then she was like, oh, hi, how are you? And then she was like, but you understand what you did was messed up. And she was like being nice to me, but in like not so much of a strict way anymore, because like she knew like, well, it like nothing was gonna change from there. So what was I gonna say? So so that happened, and then from there we just started talking again. And then I remember I went there because I needed my like social, my birth certificate and everything, and she gave me everything. And from there on she was like okay with everything or whatever, and she like accepted the pregnancy. I guess it just took her some time because, you know, I was her baby basically. I was like the last child. So that happened, and then we started talking again, and then you know, everything was fine. And then I gave birth to Jeremiah on July 23rd. July 23rd I gave birth to him. I remember being in the hospital. Oh my god, it was so oh, I remember walking. I just walked the whole entire day before I entered the hospital, and I remember having the worst pains. It was like contraction pains, having the worst pains, and I was like, you know what, he's coming, I know he's coming. So I went to the hospital and they checked me in, and I was like maybe 4 centimeters dilated. Hold on. And they wanted to leave me there. So they left me there, and then my contractions started getting worse, and I couldn't have took any more of the pain. Like I couldn't have, like, I don't know, I was just stupid. I could have, but I in my mind I thought I couldn't have because I just had the option to have epidural. So I got an epidural. If you guys don't know what epidural is, it's like the needle that goes in your back and it basically numbs everything so you don't feel your contractions. So I had that with him, and I felt like that delayed my like labor process so much. I was literally in there for like 12 hours in labor, and then when it finally came time to push, I literally pushed for about 2.5, 3 hours, just pushing, trying to get this little boy out. And again, I'm small. I'm like only 5 feet, and I'm like 110 pounds. So I'm small. At the time I was like 130 because I was pregnant, but I'm small. So you know, he had a big head for my little hoo-ha. So I was just so exhausted with the pushing, and I was just about to give up, like I really was. And then I heard the doctor said, he said, if we can't get this baby out, then we're gonna need to do a C-section. And I was like, what? I was like, excuse me. I was like, I'm gonna like, no, that's not gonna happen. So I just gathered up all my strength and I started pushing, and I guess his head was coming out more, but they couldn't really get it out, so they had to down there. So yeah, that was painful. I didn't really feel it because I was numb, not only from the epidural, but for me, like just pushing him out, like it just numbs you. You don't really feel anything anymore because it's so painful. So yeah, then he was born, and he came out, and his little warm body was on my chest, and his little chubby cheeks. Oh my god. But anyway, I love newborns. I'm so obsessed with newborns. But yeah, he came out, and everything was good after that. And you know, he was a little chubby wubby, but then he grew, and then I wanted another. Oh, I skipped my whole marriage. Okay, let me rewind. Okay, so when I was about 7 months pregnant, me and my husband decided to get married. Just because, I don't know, I guess like our religion, our religion, you know, it was like you're not supposed to really have sex before marriage, and you're not supposed to have babies before marriage. You're not supposed to live with each other before marriage. So we thought it was just right to get married. So we did, and it wasn't, you know, it was a good choice. So we got married when I was 7 months pregnant. We had like a tiny little wedding, And then yeah, and then we had Jeremiah. And then that happened, and then Jeremiah grew, and then I kind of wanted another one. I wanted my girl because I wanted Jeremiah to be a girl. I mean, I was fine if he was a boy, but I just really wanted him to be a girl. But God had other plans. So about a few months later, no, Jeremiah was a year. He was turning a year old, and I decided I wanted another baby. So I kind of told my husband I wanted one, and he was like, oh, I don't think we should. I was like, yeah, but I really want another one, like, you know. So we weren't really using protection. We weren't trying to, you know, he wasn't trying to have a baby, but I was, but like, he didn't care if we did or not, you know. So then I remember one day I was feeling nauseous, and I knew what was going on. So I remember going to my mom's house. She lived in a totally different house or whatever, and I remember telling her, like, I need a pregnancy test, we need to take one now. So we went to the store, we got a pregnancy test, and I took it in the bathroom, and lo and behold, I was pregnant. So that's how Giselle came about. And I didn't know what it was yet, and then I went to the sonogram appointment to find out what it was, and it was a girl, and I was so happy. I was so happy. Like, you guys don't know the amount of happiness I had for this little girl. Like, I was happy with Chico too. Like, of course, like, they're both, you know, my everything. But I was just so happy that Giselle wasn't a boy, because I wanted a girl and a boy, so I could have been done. So I got her, and then I remember just when I was pregnant, like, as soon as I found out the gender, we just went crazy, going like for so much girl clothes, newborn clothes or whatever. It was just so cute because I was just so obsessed with like having a girl. So anyways, so yeah, we got everything for her. We didn't have a baby shower. We had a baby shower for Chico. We didn't have a baby shower for Giselle. And yeah, and then I remember one day I was about maybe 2 days overdue. No, it was like a week overdue. With Giselle, it was like a week overdue. I remember laying in bed, and my husband at this time had like a morning job, so he worked like early, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he woke up and he was getting ready for work, and I was like, babe, I don't think you should go to work. I was like, I'm not feeling good, and at the time we lived in New York, so he needed to take the ferry. It's like this big boat that brings you to Manhattan. He needed to take the ferry to get to his work or whatever. But I told him, I was like, I don't think you should go because I feel like she's coming. And then he didn't listen to me, of course, like all guys don't. So lo and behold, like maybe 30 minutes later, I call back and I'm like, babe, you need to get your ass back home because she's coming. And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yes, get back home. And then he was already on the ferry going to Manhattan, so he literally had to wait until he got off the ferry and then went back around and got back on the ferry to go to Staten Island. So anyways, so that whole time I'm having contractions and I'm by myself and Chico's still sleeping. We lived in the basement of somebody's house at the time. It was our friend's house. So we had someone to watch Chico at the time. Chico was like 1, yeah, a little over 1. So Chico was good. My bags were already packed, and I was having the worst contractions ever. So my husband finally gets home, finally. And I remember calling my mom and telling my mom, I was like, Mom, like, this baby is coming. Like, are you gonna come to the hospital? You know, because she said she was. So she's like, yeah, I'm gonna go, let me just get ready. And I was like, okay. And then we hang up, and then I'm waiting for Chris to get home, my husband. And then he finally gets home, and then what was it? He comes to the basement, and I already got all the bags and stuff, and then I give the bags to him, and then I had to pause and hold the dresser because I was having a contraction, and he goes to me, hurry up, let's go. Like, what do you mean? Because I was rushing him the whole time. So when he gets there, he has to back. No, he didn't say it like that, but he was like, hurry up, let's go. And I was like, are you kidding me? Hurrying me up while I'm having a contraction. So anyways, we get in the car because we drove to the hospital. So we get in the car, and then the whole way I'm having contractions like 2 minutes apart. They're literally that close. Like every 2 minutes it's just on and off. So I'm calling my mom, and I'm like, Ma, are you ready? And she lived like 10 minutes. No, she lived like 5 minutes away from us at the time. I'm like, are you ready? And she goes, wait, what? And then she was still sleeping. I guess like she picked up the phone in her sleep and she didn't remember. So I was like, Mom, are you serious? And she goes, give me 10 minutes, give me 10 minutes. I was like, Mom, I do not have 10 minutes. So we left her. If I would have waited that 10 minutes, I would have had the baby in the car. So he's rushing to the hospital, and when we get out the car, we're at the hospital. When we get out the car, I'm like, literally, I can't, like, it was so hard for me to walk because of the contractions were coming so fast and so like painful. It was the worst thing ever, the worst pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. Sorry guys, my camera cut off. Okay, so where was I? Anyways, so we got out the car. I'm trying to walk into the hospital. I barely could have, but I'm trying to walk into the hospital, and then we had to get checked in, and then they made me sign all this paperwork. Meanwhile, I was having contractions. Like they had me, like they couldn't have done it after. And then I'm signing the paperwork, right? And then I'm having a contraction, and after every freaking sign, I'm having a contraction. So I stop, and I'm like, trying to breathe, like, because it's just like you gotta remember to breathe. The lady's looking at me, and she's like, are you good? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, but they're just coming really fast. And she's like, okay, we need to get you in. So I go into like, what is it called? I forgot. It's just like a room, not the room to give birth, but like a room so they can check me to see how much centimeters I'm dilated. So they go and they check me, and she's like, oh. And I was like, oh. And then she goes, you're like, I think it was like 8.5 centimeters dilated, or 9 centimeters, and you have to be 10 centimeters to like, start the process of pushing. And I was like, oh my god, like, really? And then she's like, yeah, we have to move. So I remember they moved me into, well, they didn't move me. They didn't even set me in a wheelchair. I could have walked still, but it was painful. So we walked into the birthing room, and I just felt like I needed to push, and my doctor wasn't there yet. And it was just nurses, and I was like, I need to push. I told the nurse, I was like, I need to push. Like, when you're having a baby, it really feels like you need to take like a big dump. Like, that's exactly how it feels. It feels like you need to take a dump. So I was like, you know what, like, I need to push this baby out. And then the nurse was like, no, it's not ready, it's not, you can hurt the baby if you start pushing out. But I feel like she was just lying, because my doctor wasn't there, and she was scared to deliver the baby. I wasn't trying to wait for my doctor. So my doctor came about like 5 minutes after that. My doctor was there, and then it was like, okay, you're ready to start pushing. I asked for epidural, and they couldn't give me epidural because I was like too far into like the contractions and stuff. So I birthed Giselle without epidural, and it was the most painful thing ever. But I don't regret it. I don't recommend the epidural. Like, I know you're gonna think that you can't do it, but just do it without epidural, because epidural messes with your back after. So I pushed her out. I pushed her out in like 5 minutes. Giselle was the easiest. Like, she came out so quick. And then I remember her little warm body on my chest. Aww. And then she came out with like this this pink birthmark on her arm, on her wrist. She still has to this day. She had like a pink birthmark on her wrist. It was really, really red at the time though. And I remember her nurse that was like taking care of me and Giselle, like in post-op, she, not post-op, but like the recovery for labor and delivery, she had the same exact birthmark. Giselle's nurse had the same birthmark as Giselle. I was like, wow, that's like meant to be, you know. And she was so nice. But yeah, so that's how I had Giselle. And then I remember taking her home, and I used to call her, if you guys know what sazon is, I used to call Giselle my little sazon packet, because she came out like so tanned and orange, like she was cooking in there. So yeah, she was really cooking in there. Giselle was like a little orange baby, like a little Oompa Loompa. But yeah, that's basically it. And then we lived in New York for like 2 years, and then I remember coming to Florida for vacation, and I really liked it out here. So we were looking for apartments on our vacation, and we found this apartment, and we put a down payment, and we moved here within a month. We moved to Florida, and yeah, here we are. And I do not want any more kids. For those who always ask, do you want any more kids? I do not want any more kids. I don't plan to have any more kids. So yeah, I'm not trying to go through that again. But yeah, that's my birth stories and like how I met my husband and everything like that. I'm trying to think of anything else. That was it. Alright guys, so if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And if you like story times like this, put it in the comments below, so then I can maybe do more. And make sure you put your post notification bell on, so you can get notified when I do post new videos. I will be posting more often. I'm going to try to post more often, fingers crossed. But yeah, and don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, because I need some subscriptions. A lot of you watch and you don't subscribe. I see it. So subscribe right here. It's right here. Just click on it. And yeah, that's it. Yep, that's it. Bye guys.